Hey guys, it's Jim Fuge, and this is guitarbyjimi.com. And in today's free lesson, I'm going to talk to you and give you some tips and tricks to become better at soloing and improvising on the guitar. Okay? First of all, there's 100 things I could tell you, but we only have so much time on each video, so I'm going to try and boil it down to 5 or 6 key things, make you maybe think outside the box a little bit, and I promise you this will help you solo better and do better lead breaks. Before I get started, I'm going to flash them on the video so you can see, and you can stop the video here and you can just see all 5 or 6 at once. Alright, so I'm going to do that right now, and you can see them listed there. Okay, and then I'm going to take it off the video in about a sec. Alright, so this is in no particular order. Okay, one is not more important than the other. Okay, so the first thing is, yes, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but practice. Practice, practice, practice. You can't practice enough, really. And you know, there's an old saying, and it's true. There's just no substitute for practice. So it's just like anything in life. If you want to get better at something, practice, because you will get better. But if you don't practice, you're never going to really get better. If you think about music all the time, you listen to it, that's great. That's a good thing. But if you don't just simply apply your hands and try things more and more, you'll never get better at it. So I can't stress it enough. Practice. And one way to practice is, you know, either if you can do this, tape yourself going like this. Nice and slow. Tape a rhythm guitar, or ask your friend to play with you, you know, and then you guys take turns, you know, and then somebody go. Okay, and then you get better at it. You'll find yourself daring to do different things more and more. The more you keep doing it, because who wants to keep playing the exact same way? That's one way. If you don't have the luxury of doing that, or a friend who can back you up and play the rhythm, then play against a song that you know, like, say, Rock and Roll by Led Zeppelin. Play against the actual song while Plant is singing. It doesn't matter, because it's a simple 1-4-5 chord progression. If you don't know what 1-4-5 means, you should look it up. It's good to know those kind of things. But it's a simple 3-chord kind of song. And then while the whole song is going on, do your thing. While Jimmy Page is going. See what I'm saying? So, and Jimmy Page can be your rhythm guitar player for about 3 minutes. Not a bad deal, right? So that's another way to do it if you don't have the luxury of taping yourself and then playing it back, or playing with a friend. So practice, though. The more you do it, the better you get at it, I promise. Second thing is scales. Now, let's talk about scales. Now, in this example today that I show you how, like, start getting better and better at doing this, I'm going to stick with one scale only. For those guys who are just starting out or not playing that long, let's just say the only scale you know is the pentatonic, right? Penta, 5, right? 5-note scale, right? Nice and simple. If that was the only scale you knew, I can still do good things with it, and I'm going to show you how. But let's get back to the general theory. The general theory is scales in general. Now, what I mean is, you know, in the world right now, as we know it, there's only about 40 scales that we know, really. And then that's really getting technical with fancy scales like the Japanese scale. This includes modes, and if you don't know what modes are, you should look that up too. But it's not a big deal. You don't need to know it right now. My point is, and I'm going to give you a really good thing to think about, after this lesson is over, I'm going to do some cool stuff, all just in the pentatonic scale. One scale, and one scale only. I'm not going to get fancy, because I just want to show that this can be done in just one scale. So if you actually learn another scale, think about it mathematically. Think how much deeper you can go, and think about how much more you can mix it up. If you learn 3 scales, well, now you really got a lot of stuff to choose from, a lot of different notes, a lot of different flavors. Okay, so I'm going to show you how you can still make one scale sound good by applying some of these tricks that I'm going to show you in tips. But you really want to start, you know, expanding it and really becoming a better player. Learn some more scales. Now, here comes the reality of it all. Could you learn all 40? God bless you. I hope you do. Is it practical? I don't know. Maybe not. The more you know, the better. If you can learn them all and you can memorize them all, great. This is absolutely awesome. Nothing wrong with that. But in all practicality, you know, I mean, you know, don't quote me, but I'm just saying, if you learn 5 different scales, your knowledge of music and your playing ability will go up 10,000%. Just 5 scales. Now, I'm telling you this because if you think about it, wow, it's not so hard to become a great guitar, but it's really not that hard. I thought I had to know every scale and every position. The more positions, the better. It's always better, don't get me wrong. But, you know, you can just go from here to here, just learning 2 or 3, 4 more scales. Just doing that, okay? So, you know, 10, 20 scales, that's great. That's when you really start knowing a lot of stuff. But 5 scales, if you know, you got the pentatonic, right? And you got the major pentatonic, probably another one, that's 2. These are simple scales. And you got the blues, that's 3, right? Maybe the major scale, that's 4, okay? And then maybe 1 or 2 of the minor scales, right? Once you learn, because you know, not everything you play is going to be like this. What if you have a song that's like this? And what do? You do always the pentatonic? Actually, it could work, but if you have the minor scale, you can start mixing stuff up. So just by learning another scale, you can start mixing stuff up, okay? But again, I'm going to stick in my example to 1 scale today only. Just for those guys who are starting out who only know 1 scale, you'll see that you could still become a much better player even just within 1 scale. But my point on this subject is if you add more scales, it really blows you up big time into a better player, into a much bigger universe, you know what I mean? So even 5 scales, which is not so bad to learn and memorize, not so bad, you'll become 10,000 times better of a player. Okay, so scales is the next one. Okay, so we talked about scales. Let's move on. The next thing is math. Okay, now here's where we start applying stuff. Now, music and math, though, there's a lot of correlation between the two, believe it or not. So here's the pentatonic. What a lot of times beginners do is they run up the scale and they run back the scale. That's great. That's a good start. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you keep doing that, well, it sounds like a scale, doesn't it? Because you're going all the way up and you're going all the way down. So the way to get around that is think, you know, don't get me wrong, you want to play with emotion. But it's important to respect math because it is, like I said, it's very correlated with music, believe it or not. Time signatures, come on, think about it. One thing you want to do is just change the order of stuff. That's all you got to do. Okay, so let's start over here. So if you go, you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up. Well, what if you just went 1, 2, 3, and went back now? Now it's starting to sound like a little bit of a lead break. What if you went up to 4? It's a little different. What if you skip instead of going always contiguous 1, 2, 3, 4? What if you just went 1, 2, 3, 4, and then come back? So, right? So don't be so, have your hands glued so hard to the guitar that you have to always go up and go down. Mix it up. Mix it up. Think a little bit mathematically until you get good at it. Then, you know, obviously when you play, when you get better and better at this, do I think of math when I play? No. I just relax and get the emotion out of the guitar, which I'm coming to next. But when you're starting out, instead of going all the way up and all the way down, you know, mix it up. Maybe you go up now. Okay? Maybe you stay there. Come back up. All of a sudden you got some cool playing, all in the pentatonic scale still. That's what I'm saying. Look how much you can do. So mix up the math of how your fingers are jumping, and all of a sudden you'll find yourself sounding different. And you don't want to sound like a scale, right? You don't want to sound like, I mean, you know, it gets boring after a while, and it sounds like a scale. You don't want to sound like a scale. You want to use the notes that are in the scale and go from there. So mix up the math. Let's see. Okay, so the next one, which is really great tip. Really great tip. So now you're getting a little bit better, but you can only do so much, right? If you don't learn little short riffs. Little short riffs. This is key, guys. This is key. And I'm honestly not trying to plug my own website, but I do have, because this is the way I teach. That's why I'm telling you now. But I do have on my website a video I don't think it's that much money, but it's on the general section, not the solos section. It's a collections of riffs. Like, you know, there's like, I don't know, 5 or 6 or 7 videos I did, and it's not that much money. But anyway, if you're interested, check them out, buy them or whatever. But I'm telling you, those videos are really worth a lot, because I give you all these little short riffs. Now, what I'm trying to say is, it's good to learn long, tough patterns. Tough patterns, long, tough patterns. It's great, but it's so much better to your lead playing to learn short little riffs. Here's an example. That's it. 3, 4, 5 notes max. Now all of a sudden you got a riff. Then you got, let's do 1, 2, 3, 4. Alright, so you got 2 riffs now. 2 short riffs. The shorter the better. 3, 4 notes. That's it. Here's another one. Old blues riff. Now I know I'm breaking the pentatonic a little bit. My point is that if you learn, I'll try and stay in the pentatonic. If you learn short little riffs, then you put them together, that's when you really start sounding like a lead guitar player. Okay? You can do a lot of stuff on your own, but like I said, mixing up the math and things like that. But if you start learning little short riffs, specifically in that scale, right? Then you start putting those things together. You mix up your own math. You start sounding like a lead player. Here's another one. And I didn't even bend yet. So bending is another thing too. Bend a little bit, right? Because if you don't bend, it's always somewhat mechanical. So you start adding little riffs at a time and connect. I'm doing it fast, but connect them together. And then you say, all right, let me just come back down. And see, and I mix it up. So a little bit of everything. Short riffs, connect them together, and then mix up the math a little bit. All of a sudden, you're starting to sound like a lead guitar player. It's a great little trick. I'm telling you, the short riffs is really good. It's how you really get good at playing. I'm still in the same position too. Now, if you get better at the guitar, you start switching positions, of course, it helps too. But I'm trying to keep this example just in the 5th position in the pentatonic scale. Okay? So that's that. The other thing is, I mean, you know, be a little daring. You know, don't be afraid to, you know, bend and do wacky stuff, you know. Okay, getting a little bluesy because you're hitting an E flat note, but, you know, if it sounds good to your ear, it probably is good. Maybe the next one you learn is... Now you're starting to sound like a player. And I'm bending so much, I'm putting my E at it. Alright, so that's that. Be a little daring. Don't just be like robotic. You know what I mean? Be a little daring. It's a guitar, man. You're trying to get emotion out of it. Let's see. I have some notes. I'm just looking at them, make sure I don't forget. Okay, and how you play the notes matters too. Because if you just go, if you have good riffs, but if, and this goes back to another video I did, if you wiggle a little bit, those fingers wiggle a little bit, get some emotion into those notes. Okay, even if you come up with the best riffs and you don't put any emotion into it, or a little wiggle here and there, it'll sound a little robotic. So, you know, that's, you want to, you know, you get the strings are made to be wiggled a bit and bent. So you want to make sure you do that. And also go with the emotion of the song. It's like if it's a heavy rocker, you know, yeah. Okay, so that's that. If it's a sad song, you know, you probably don't want to go, you know, you don't want to go. You might want to go nice and light on the pick attack. Maybe muff a little bit. Excuse me, let me stay in the pentatonic, sorry. Same riff, but not as aggressive. Okay, so go with the emotion of the song. Don't forget that. Don't be just locked into one emotion of hard aggression or light playing. Make sure you listen to the song that you're playing against and go with that vibe. It's very important. Let's see. I think that's it. I just wanted to keep it just a few tips. So again, remember scales, right? Don't forget scales. The more you know, the better you get. And if it makes you feel good and not overwhelmed, if you just learn 3, 4, 5 scales, you'll become so much of a better. Just that, you know. The more you learn, the better you get as far as the scales go. Practice, there's no substitute. Mix the math up a little bit, right? Learn, and this is really important, learn short little riffs, 3, 4, 5 notes max, short riffs, and put them all together. Because that's how you really get good at playing, is you learn these short little riffs. What do you think Page did? Clapton, Beck, everybody, Van Halen, everybody did it. They got little riffs that everybody learned from the old blues players and things like that, the old jazz players, whoever, you know what I mean? So learn short little riffs, because once you start putting them together, you start to sound like a guitar player. And then how you play the riff matters too, right? Because you want to make sure you put the right emotion into the song that you have going on. So this is a quick little tips and pointers and stuff like that to make you become a better soloist. So try it and let me know how it goes, all right? So I think you might find yourself being surprised, actually, if you follow some of these tricks. So I'm Jim Fuge, and this is guitarbyjimi.com. And thanks for watching this video. Give me the thumbs up if you like it. And let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you on the next video. All right, everybody, rock on.